Okay, guys, what's up? I'm gonna make this really quick and fast. We're going to evaluate these guys and the foolishness that they have, and also being disrespectful. Okay, so basically, there's this guy named Cars. He came into my inbox and said that he wanted to debate. I told him I can't talk over the phone because I was going through a family crisis situation. I don't talk about my personal business, but my uncle was evicted with my cousins. They didn't have no money in the bank, and pretty much they didn't have nowhere else to go. So clearly, and I have other family members out there that won't help them. Help them because now they were stuck in a situation, you know, and really pretty much didn't have anybody to turn to. And my uncle was gonna get ready to lose his mind and get ready to do some real crazy stuff, because they were evicted, homeless, and out of the way. So, anyways, I told him I was over the phone. I can still text him. No, he doesn't want to do that. He says, "Hurry the f up, bro." So that goes to show you that he doesn't want to respect anything that I doesn't even respect me as a person. He could have literally just said, "Well, okay, bro, I respect that." But he didn't. He said, "Hurry the F up." And then, like I explained to him, I'm over the phone. And then that's when he was like, literally saying, "Oh, yeah, he didn't believe that I was going through a family crisis." And I literally had to let him know that I was over the phone. I wasn't there with them. So I could still text you, but he still doesn't listen. So this is pretty much what these guys do. They get mad over fictional characters. So probably they might be going through more than what I'm actually going through in my life. You know, if they're literally if they're literally gonna get all worked up over some cartoon characters, these guys are just unbelievable. Okay, we're gonna go back, and then this is when I made all caps. I said I hate Discord. You can't even block people. I went on Google, found out how to block them, and I wound up blocking them. So man behind the slaughter and Q was like, "What's going on?" Told him how this guy disrespect me. He literally said, "We don't care." Q agreed right along with it and say, "Ha, with your 19 bots." And it basically goes to show you that these guys just really don't care. They said that he was in voice chat the whole time playing the video game when this guy was really hitting me in the inbox. So they're not even going to come at him like, "Yo, just try to respect Mr. Evaluator or respect him as a person." No, they didn't have the common courtesy to say or do any of that. They just want to debate. So they're literally worked up about themselves, their life, all over fictional characters that don't even exist. And that's not even really real. So yeah, these guys are crazy. Okay. Now, one of my other guys. Then you got Loomis Thermax, who basically did a video with Man Behind the Slaughter saying the truth about Mr. Evaluator. And, this is what he did. Like, I never came at this guy in any of his inbox, called him the B word, anything. This guy said this. So this guy has disrespected me to the utmost all over the omniversal debate, you know, because when I was scaling Trigon, I said that Trigon is omniversal. He is above the omniverse, right? Listen. And Loomis said that omniversal is not a tier, right? Okay, omniversal is not a tier. So what I said about Trigon and the explanation that I was trying to explain about his power is just void and pointless. And he later then, like I said in the video, comment and said below that Omniversal is a lowball for most of the characters in that I literally talked about. Omniversal isn't a tier. He didn't say Omniverse is a tier, is a low ball. He said Omniversal is a low ball for most characters that I talked about. So technically, he literally confirmed that it falls within a tier. So it's not a power scale tier for it's basic. It's not a standalone power scale. It basically Omniversal basic. The Omniverse pretty much concerns the tier of that character and what grounds he stand on, like he said in the beginning, like he commented in the beginning of the video. But the problem is He never said that it falls within the tier at the beginning of the first comment when he said it was not a tier. He probably knew exactly what he was saying, but because I was literally throwing words at him, I was confusing him. And like, he know what he was saying, but everything he was saying was not coming out the way it was supposed to come out, because I was literally like mixing his mind up, because like I was literally rephrasing everything he was saying. Since Omniversal is not a tier, then your point of you saying that he will be below it and wouldn't break through the source wall would literally be pointless and void, just like my point would be pointless and void in what I said about him. So in this case, you know, omniverse really means like, okay, so the omniverse is like if a bomb so if there was a bomb that could blow up a whole city, then that bomb meets the tier of destroying a whole city. And that will pretty much be the omniverse of the bomb. But from the beginning, he really didn't explain it like that. He just said that Omniversal is not a tier, and but Omniversal is the beginning. Is like is a low ball for most characters. I pretty much talked about in the video. So that literally kind of got me in my mind. Wait a minute, this guy's confused. He's saying it's not a tier, but it's a low ball for most characters. So if it's not a tier, then it shouldn't be a low ball for the characters, most of the characters I talk about in the video. So this guy was just literally mixed up in his head, and he really honestly didn't he know exactly what he talked about. He knows exactly what he was saying, but it wasn't coming out because I was just literally giving him, what he was giving me. And, it kind of stirred his mind around. And, I'm not saying that to be boastful. I'm not saying that to be proudful. It happens to people. Like, I remember I used to think that Batman was a sorry person. I used to think that anybody could beat Batman. I used to think that the Joker could beat Batman. I used to think that the little small street criminals could literally beat Batman. I used to think that since Batman was the only person without powers, I used to literally think that the criminals in the streets will literally beat Batman in the hand-to-hand combat because Batman is just a normal person. Well, come to be, when I went there learning, and when I went to learn, like, I made good points, but those points was literally irrelevant compared to, that's when I really didn't understand capabilities and, sticking with the common basis, the primal source of his power. What is he capable of actually doing? Once I understood that Batman reached the peak of bench pressing 1,000 pounds, he will backhand every criminal in the street beneath him. Like, and it really had me looking crazy. But this is when I was a child. I was in middle school. Okay. So, anyways, but this guy was, I don't know why he said that Omniversal is not a tier. And then he turned around and said that it's a low ball for most characters. So he really wasn't on track about what he was trying to say. He knew what he was saying, but he wasn't literally on track of what he was really trying to put out. The thought of what he was going to say was in his head. It was literally in his head, but it just didn't come out right because he was like, he may have had some other stuff on his mind, and I really don't blame you. So it kind of really does make him, like, when people respond like that, it kind of does make him look like a big buffoon. And ain't nobody's making nobody look like they're stupid, because the whole purpose of a debate is to either hear your counterpart and hear why your counterpart says otherwise, and look at the points he's making to to summing up why he thinks like that. And so then you take what he knows and he align it with what you call the feet. And if it doesn't align with the feet, then everything he, well, not everything he said, well, then everything that he tried to make what was literally was really irrelevant. So it was almost out to the context. And I used to do Batman like that because I used to think that anybody could be Batman until I found out like this guy is beyond the average human. Okay? So, yeah, this was it. And this basically goes to show you that these guys are literally worked up over fictional cartoon characters. They may not be going through a lot in their life, but just by responding and reacting like this on a social network, like these guys may have real serious issues. So YouTubers, I want you guys to be aware of people like these guys. You know, you guys might be cool with them, but me, nah, I get disrespected. You know, I get, yeah, I get disrespected, I get cussed at, and like these guys are just not good. Okay. So I mean, I just it almost get to the point to where like I don't even want to no longer talk to these guys. So this will probably be one of the last videos I will probably ever make concerning ignorant people. Uh but it just depends on how far they take it with me. So anyways, I'm just gonna get to the main point. Like this guy knew what he was talking about, but the words didn't come out right. It really didn't come out right. So, like, it's just like he said at the bottom of this. He said, I'm assuming I fall within the context of everyone, or am I taking your words out of context in your vid? So he's able to literally talk like that. But when he said Omniversal is not a tier, okay, so then neither it should be a low ball for any character that I brought up in the video, because that's the whole point of a tier. Tier is basically whatever layer of power that character stands on. Like I said with the bomb is like they got bombs that'll blow up an entire planet. Okay, so that bomb scales to a planetary tier because he blows up and they can blow up planets. So this would be the omniverse of that specific bomb. So when he said so in this case, the way that I was describing omniversal is not a tier, but like he said, it falls within a tier. So the omniverse will be the scale of the character of what grounds they pretty much stand on, which means the capability. So if Trigon's darkness could go beyond the conception of the source and of the material, like because of that capability, if evil is above that source and evil is above that material, he could literally do that. But they're saying that since he haven't performed any of that in the comics, you know, that is irrelevant and it doesn't exist. So therefore, there's no solid evidence that he did that in the comics. The furthest he ever got to was the entire multiverse. And what I was literally trying to tell you is, how did you think he went multiverse? Do you not think that he absorbed all of the evil out of the galaxy and literally wound up conquering the universe and then absorbing all the darkness and evil thoughts throughout the universe and wound up, taking the macroverse? So the writers just literally gave you Trigon's full and true power. He can absorb evil. It doesn't matter what form of evil. Evil has layers. You got evil within creation. You got evil that scales to the idea of creation, and you got evil that goes to the whole concept of creation. So pretty much going to the concept of evil is literally beyond everything. It's out of the content of the author. And the reason why I literally say that Trigon's capability puts him out of the hands of the author is because his power is literally immeasurable. Trigon can literally do anything he wants. Okay. He is literally omnipotent, not nigh omnipotent. He's literally omnipotent. So, like, his whole purpose was made a lowball. His whole purpose was made to fight the belief of humanity. He was literally made to corrupt imaginations and like drain it and make it his own and literally become the power he drained. Like, for instance, he could literally throw corrupt Maturin's mind with darkness and with corruption and whatever Maturin literally sees corruption as. Trigon can literally drain that out of him and literally scale above that power. So, but these guys say that he hasn't done any of that in the comics. So how would you think a child, Trigon as a kid, wound up absorbing all of that darkness on his planet and literally afterwards destroying of the planet with a death stare and then able to rule and conquer his own dimension and then leaving his own dimension and coming to into the DC universe. So when you look at it, Trigon is literally independent. And for those of you who say that Trigon got beat up by Presence, he also got beat by Bizarro. Okay. And this version of Bizarro is no strong. I mean, like, seriously, he not only got killed by Bizarro, but Trigon also got killed by John Constantine when he slammed his foot on top of Phantom Stranger. John Constantine is a very powerful guy, but it does not mean that Trigon can literally corrupt his mind and absorb the amount of darkness he has in him and literally have that power plus with what he already has. So, pretty much, Deadpool killed the whole MCU. So, does that mean that Deadpool is, well, I'm not gonna say omniversal. So that does that mean Deadpool is out of the source of the Marvel comics? Okay, so that mean that Deadpool, let's just give it a highball. Let's just say that version of Deadpool is the strongest version of Deadpool. So this strongest version of Deadpool was pretty much had a psyche breakdown by another individual that was more stronger than him that caused him to kill everybody in the MCU. Pretty much, and literally pick up Thor's hammer and throw the hammer right back at him and kill Thor. Like, I mean, you guys gotta literally see bull crap when you know it. So in this case, that version of Deadpool could beat Thor. Like, I mean, come on. And even at that state, it literally has that Thor is a demigod. So Deadpool is worthy of Odin's magic, and he could pick up Thor's hammer and just throw the hammer back at his face and just kill him. When we've saw multiple times, Thor can literally stop his own hammer. Okay, he can literally stop his own hammer and call his hammer back to me. And you mean that this version of Deadpool was more powerful than Thor? He literally threw it out and killed Thor by showing his hammer at him. So just to give you guys how power scaling really works. So, for those people, like, this is just fictional and you shouldn't really take it serious, because if you do, you really have serious problems. And So it goes back to what this guy said. He says Omniversal is not a tier, but most of the characters that I brought up in the video is Omniversal would be a lowball to most of the characters. So Q even said it himself, Omniversal isn't a tier, but most of the characters that I've talked about is it's a lowball for them. So it's either a tier or not. So if you're gonna really say that Omniversal isn't a tier, make sure you give specifications. Okay, so the thought is in them, but it's not coming out right because they're literally confused with all what was literally going on. So I'm going to take it like Omniversal isn't a tier. So I would say that Omniversal, as far as power scale wise, is not a tier for power scaling. It only consists where the individual stand. Yeah, it only consists where the individual pretty much meets that tier and stand. Like Omniversal is not a tier on its own. It's a tier within, well, it's within a tier that the character scales to. Yeah, that's better. So Omniversal is not a tier of its own. It's within the tier of whatever power the character literally scales to. So if the bomb blows up the entire building, then that means it meets the tier of the building, and that will be the omniverse of the entire the omniverse of the entire bomb. So in this case, this yeah. So they never said anything like that. So it took all the way to now for me to really put that in place. So these guys knew what they were saying, but it wasn't coming out correctly and it wasn't coming out right. So, you guys have any question, comments, or any concerns? Hit your guy, Mr. Evaluator. Press that big old fat like button. Oh, what's so? But yeah, appreciate you guys. Stay tuned for more content. Evaluator out.